Welcome, IT changemakers, to the Dex Show with Tim Flower and Tom McGraw. Let's get into it.
Hello again, changemakers. Welcome back to Reality Bytes, the Dex show's show within a show. And it's not just the show within a show today, it's a Reality Bytes special edition, so the show within a show within a show, where we talk to fascinating next thinkers and we get the lowdown. We go under the hood to hear all about product and engineering and innovation at this wonderful company. And I have to say, this is, I think, our third edition of this special edition. And I think it's been going really, really well. We keep on turning up just the most fascinating interviewees and having the best conversations. So I'm really, really happy with it so far. Now it's time to welcome our special guest. She's Ashwini Ingale. She's a principal product designer for user experience here at Nexthink. Ashwini, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me on the show. I feel really honored and very excited to be on the show.
The honor and excitement is all ours, I'm sure, Ashwini. And I'm really, really interested to talk to you. You have a fascinating role at Nexthink and just a sort of general area of expertise, which is, I think, just a perfect fit for Reality Bytes. So I guess a good place to start would be to hear a little bit about that role and a little bit about your background and how you came to specialize in this area.
Absolutely, my pleasure. So, well, just to give a bit of background about me, I have joined Nexthink about 21 months back, and my background is I've been in the field of design industry for about 22 years now. This year, I love problem solving through design, and I think I have. Since my childhood, I have always been pretty much inclined towards design. So I did my graduation in electronic science, but I then proceeded to kind of do my master's in design. And I've always been kind of pretty fascinated with the human psychology, how the mind works, how people react and do certain things in certain way. And I think that was one of my, let's say, motivation to kind of, use all these areas of interest in one job. And that is like designing products for people. And that's how I'm here at Nexthink. And I actually love being at Nexthink because, as I said earlier, Nexthink is full of so many talented people. Every day you meet new people, you meet you understand a lot of things about the product and also what's going on in the world. And every day is a new learning, really. So I think that's what I really enjoy working here.
Brilliant. It's an intellectually vibrant company, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons this show works so well, I think. So I guess a good place to begin, Ashwini, is with core principles. What, in your view, makes a good or even great dashboard?
Well, I think it's a very, very interesting question. I think if we want to simplify that answer in much more, for a layman to understand, I think a good and a great dashboard is about storytelling. How well you tell the story of the data, using the data basically through your visualizations, and how you actually take the consumer of the dashboard or the viewer or the user of the dashboard through that journey of storytelling and help them quickly spot the problems that they need to look for and actually help them see, diagnose, and again troubleshoot. Maybe you can help them drill down through different interactive elements and then diagnose and solve the problem quickly as they can, basically. So I think that's, in a nutshell, I think a great dashboard is basically, it also involves, building the right or a great dashboard using right visualization types, having a little progressive layout, which actually takes the user on that little journey for that moment. And also, we have to use quite clear and intuitive design with the right sort of, content in there in the form of text or labels or visual elements, colors, etc. So I think that's the idea of a great dashboard, in my opinion.
That's so cool. I mean, talk to me. I've got to drill down on one of those points, Ashwini, because it interests me so much. But the notion of storytelling, and I guess what you're dealing in is a very specific type of visual storytelling. What are the principles of good storytelling in this kind of format for you?
I think there are a few steps. We can take a couple of steps back before we actually understand how a good storytelling is kind of, progressed. We have to first understand when whoever is building a dashboard, I think it is really important for them to understand, why am I building this dashboard? So what is the purpose of the dashboard? who is it, who am I designing it for, and who are going to be the end users, what are their roles, what are their goals, etc. And also to understand the user's problem, what the problem that they are trying to solve through this dashboard. To get a clear understanding about that problem is kind of a key element in building the right dashboard. And that's where the storytelling comes in picture. So for example, if we are trying to show a dashboard where, we want to show how many freezes and crashes have happened within your organization for the past 7 days, then we actually start by actually showing, how these are, so many devices are being used, and those devices are using these versions of particular applications. And then we actually start showing that data. Okay, these many, or this percentage of users or devices face the crashes and freezes within this amount of time, and we start showing that data. So we build up that story, and we actually make use of right visualizations and again colors. For example, if something is going wrong, we show it in the red color, so the users are quickly able to spot that on the dashboard easily. And then again use the drill down method to see what exactly has gone wrong in this particular area or for these devices. And then they can actually drill down and investigate further to find out the right problem and solve it.
That's great, Ashwini. And there must be just so many sort of technical, visual, and navigation challenges that you face around building these, specifically in the area of DEX, where my assumption is there's an unusually large amount of data for you to have to kind of sift through, navigate, and present in this specific field. I mean, what are the biggest challenges specific to DEX in your view when it comes to sort of dashboard and UX design?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think DEX dashboards are also complete visibility into our employees' world, and the way they interact with their technology. So I think it's a very vast area because, we now these days, especially after COVID, people have started working remotely from literally any corner of the world, and for a particular organization. So people are geographically literally spread apart and using different set of devices with different sort of connection problems and issues, etc., and also different hierarchies. And the DEX dashboard are basically, they give a complete visibility and clarity into what your employees are facing on a day-to-day basis, or literally on on hourly basis for that matter in some cases. So, and I think from organizational point of view, improving DEX is basically investing in your people, really. And that actually in turn gives you more productivity for the organization. So it's a win-win situation for the employees as well as the business. So the DEX dashboards are one of the key areas where we can deep dive into how what sort of problems our employees are facing on a day-to-day basis and try to solve them. I think DEX dashboards, I wouldn't call them challenges, but the aspect that it covers in DEX dashboard area is quite vast. So it actually also tells you about the employees' interaction with their technology or with their devices in the form of, it gives you the quality of that. It tells you the ease of use, the satisfaction rate, the reliability, inclusivity, accessibility, and many other aspects that are a part of the end user experience and overall the satisfaction of the employee. And I think these are like key areas which contribute to a right DEX dashboard. I think that's in my opinion.
So something I'm really curious about when we're talking about what makes these types of dashboards so complex is the custom dashboard feature. And I'm curious, what do you think are some of the challenges to helping the users of custom dashboards to build their own and making those effective?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the custom dashboards is and will be now called live dashboards also. So basically live dashboards is a tool which we have kind of created to build dashboards for our users. I mean, they can basically build their dashboards on their own. And I think what we know is basically, we know that not every dashboard creator is a designer. So we try to help them by giving them some sort of preset settings, let's say, when they're building their dashboard. So we have a built-in layout manager that already kind of takes care of how the layout will be shown, which widget will fit, how well it fits within that dashboard area. The users or the creators don't have to really worry about whether I have to put it few pixels left or right, whether I have to kind of nudge it a little bit to kind of align it with the other widgets. So all that is being taken care of in the background. So that's pretty useful for the users. And they can also edit, delete, move widgets around the layout. So that kind of flexibility or the ownership is given to the dashboard creators. So they kind of own that tool in a way, and they also feel kind of empowered by having these facilities to build a great dashboard. On top of that, I think it's not just about these kind of this tool. A few other things what I've done for our consumers is I've created a quick UX design guideline for dashboard creators. Again, taking into consideration that everyone may not actually know design principles. And if we follow them, then it's going to kind of, the output is going to be a great dashboard at the end of the day. So some high level tips which I have included in the guidelines are, again, as I mentioned earlier, understand the purpose of the dashboard. Why do we need this? What problem is it going to solve? And who are my end users? Are they of specific persona? And how will they consume that data? For example, if an analyst is going to be using the dashboard, they may just want to see the deeper insights, but maybe a high-level operations manager may just want to see the bigger picture. So I think those kind of points a creator has to take into consideration. I think these are the challenges we initially faced, that we noticed that people were not aware of these things. And then after we kind of took them through these design guidelines, our internal users as well as external customers, then people started kind of imbibing these values in their design, in their kind of regular design elements really, and that kind of helped them significantly. There are some more granular level tips as well, which were a part of this guideline, such as, and most of these are really, we think that okay, this is really a common sense, but we completely appreciate that when you are coming from a space of a design, when you are actually a designer yourself, you may kind of understand these things quite clearly. But for the person who is creating the dashboard, these things may not be that obvious. So I think it was a conscious effort to kind of add these points into these guidelines. Some of these key points are like, understand that every inch of your real estate that you are being given on the dashboard palette is important, so use it wisely. Don't overuse widgets. Basically, that's the idea. Know your audience and design or lay out the page in keeping in mind their goals. Build a storyline, as I said before. One of the key things which I feel was quite useful to our customers was start drawing the dashboards on paper first. And that tip has been kind of, that has helped me a lot as well. So I think that is a very, very useful tip to a lot of our dashboard creators. That actually saves time of, just constantly nudging and moving widgets around until you get the desired layout. That also helps you organize the data quicker. So I think starting on paper is also a great idea. They don't have to be, perfectly looking dashboards. Just some rough sketches here and there would work great, basically. Also, keep in mind the information architecture and the layout flow, and choose the right type of widgets for the right information, because sometimes the same data can be actually shown in 3 different type of charts. But understand what is the most impactful chart that is going to help your users see the problem quickly and solve it. So these are the key things which they have to keep in mind, which I have kind of added in my design guideline sessions, and I kind of was helping our internal and external customers to go through these points. Some more points where less is more, so don't overuse and don't overdo the chart, the usage of charts or the text, etc. Avoid elements that don't communicate any data to the user. Every time, whichever widget type you use on the dashboard, make sure that each and every widget type is tying back to the purpose of the dashboard. So nothing is unnecessary basically on that dashboard. A few other things to maintain about the content is maintain a visual and content hierarchy, use short and precise labels, use logical labels for dashboard names, etc. Make sure that you're using consistent units across the dashboard. There are some features like usage of tabs and filters that's a part of the dashboard tool. So make sure that you use those features quite wisely. Again, use your tabs to organize the content so that the information architecture and the flow of the data is much more easier to understand. And also with respect to text, make sure there are no typos, because that doesn't quite reflect great. So I think these are the key things which we have, which I have added in the design guidelines, and we have seen some very good response from our customers for that.
These are great tips. Thank you so much, Ashwini. And I know I definitely benefit from sketching things out on paper. That's one of my favorite tips as well. I actually had a follow-up question for you, which is, what do you say to people who do want to do more, who want to customize the visual design even further? What's your advice to folks like that?
Do you mean in terms of dashboards, the customizing of the chart types?
So, for example, with live dashboards specifically, I think there's two kinds of people, right? There's people who are a little bit intimidated maybe and want to use what's there. And then there are the people who want to go even further, really want to customize every visual detail. And sometimes, like you were saying, less is more. So it can be challenging to figure out when is it helpful to really use visual elements to create things like visual hierarchy versus when is it better to not use visual elements to the point where it obscures the data?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So I think one of the key features which we already have in the dashboards is grouping of the content. And when we are talking about the visual hierarchy or using the right sort of elements and not overdoing it, grouping works great, because we have the option now, we have the ability where people can group the relevant data or relevant widgets together. Maybe they can have a common title for that, and that actually just shows, that just appears in a kind of common white box, let's put it that way. And that actually helps the consumer of the dashboard to understand the data much more quickly, because it actually separates that out, that particular group of widgets. It separates that out from the other rest of the widgets. And it's much more, it's much lesser cognitive load on the user's brain who is consuming that data. They can easily see that, okay, these visual elements are, they are kind of closer to each other. They are put in a particular box or a group. It has got a common heading. So you are actually able to kind of organize your content much more, smoothly on your dashboard. And it just helps the end user to, again, differentiate between the types of contents, the groups of the widgets, and again, consume that data much more smoothly and easily and more intuitively, really. With respect to visual hierarchy, again, the same thing applies. When we are grouping content together, as I said, I have added a particular title or the heading widget on that group, and then I added some sub widgets to that group. Subtle visual changes automatically happen in the dashboard that the users may not notice, but that actually creates a very big positive impact on the user's brain, that it actually quickly recognizes that this group of widgets is one entity, and it actually helps them, again, use and consume that data quickly and smoothly. I hope that answers your question, Oriana.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you and I could probably talk about live dashboards forever, but I'd be super interested to hear your thoughts on sort of UX more generally, because you do have this great perspective. What are some of the main trends that you've observed in the development of UX during your career?
I think the interesting thing is over the last few years or decades, I would say, there have been a lot of changes and trends that are coming. A lot of trends are actually coming and going as well, but few things are staying with us, and they're progressing and enhancing, being advanced. I think some of the key things that are impacting the design process or the design ideations, really also the use of hardware technologies, because people, we have phones, we have wearable technology, and we have a lot of other things. The things that are changing in the UX, these things are being connected to each other. So whatever I can see on my, obviously, laptop, I can see on my phone or my watch, and so on and so forth, basically. So these hardware changes or developments are also impacting the software, and also in turn they are impacting the UX, because it's all about users, right? The users are using all these devices with different technology, and then that's going to definitely impact the design part of it as well. well. A lot of things like there are personalized experiences. Obviously, there are highly interactive data visualization techniques. Now, light mode, dark mode has become so common. We don't even know that it wasn't there, a few years ago. And like people are actually pretty much demanding about all these things. The accessibility is one of the key things that is being kind of, and people, we assume that accessibility has to be taken care of in each piece of design. There are micro interactions, there are 3D designs, there are also, of course, like AI generated content to go a little out of the way, augmented reality, etc. So a lot of these trends are impacting the designs, the designing, ideations, etc. for the users, because the users are consuming this information on other platforms. So eventually they would expect that smooth and clear experience, or that more personalized experience, or interconnected experience between these, let's say, devices quite often. And that's how I think this is one of the trends I have observed in the last, few years, I guess. And that actually just, enriches the experience for the users, really, end users, I mean.
Hi, Ashwini. I have a question for you, and you kind of hinted at it earlier, but I was actually curious for, B2C products, like if you're in UX design, like I'm just on our phone with all of our applications that we use, do you see those influencing the work that you do at Nexthink for B2B products? I know you have a very technical audience of users that you help out, but I'm curious if there's any crossover between those two areas.
I think so. So is it more like the actual end user, the consumer experience, as well as the B2B experience, and the kind of correlation between that, right?
Yeah, correct. So like when I open up my phone and I'm using a social media app like Twitter, I'm curious, the UX designer that put the work into that, do they influence some of the things that you're trying to do when it comes to creating custom dashboards or helping people think through problems graphically, or figuring out the best use of the tool?
Absolutely. I think that's a great question, and it does definitely impact our thinking as well. Because see, at the end of the day, our users are also the users of these these different technologies and different devices and different applications by themselves as well. So the more we are used to using these things around, like social media, for example, or other products or applications that we use commonly amongst ourselves, I think the interactions that we kind of use, the interactions we have with those products, definitely that smoothness and that kind of efficiency the users would eventually expect from our products as well. So overall, it does definitely kind of impact the design, the technical part of design, when we are taking into consideration that, because at the end of the day, the end users are human beings. They are the same people who are using these other technologies, other devices, other applications, who will be using our application. So eventually, definitely that they would expect that intuitivity and ease of use in our products as well. So it does definitely impact the design as well, and that's how we enhance, and that's how we actually upgrade our UX every now and then. So that is how the UX designs and the guidelines and the the visual interactions, everything gets enhanced in like every version or every release, for that matter.
That's excellent and makes a lot of sense to me. I was curious, just maybe for the final question here to wrap up, you talked a lot about dashboards. What do you think is going to happen in the future to dashboards? What technologies might impact what we'll see in the coming years?
Well, interesting. I think from where I'm at the moment and where we see the world is going, and I think the options are endless. But to just sum up a few, I think what I would expect for dashboards, not just here but anywhere in the world, is basically to show more and more complex data with more and more sophisticated and simplistic designs to interact with. Again, greater integration with other software platforms or programs is something I would see. We already see that that's happening in a lot of places. And again, more user-friendly features with different devices. And I can also think of more use of maybe artificial intelligence and machine learning through all these areas, and greater focus on real-time data. More and more real-time data would be kind of added in the dashboards. I think that's those are the few things which I can think of right now. And I think, as I said, the options and the avenues are endless.
That has all been so interesting, Ashwini, and I think it's really struck me listening to you just how much of a role UX designers play in the modern world, right? Like we all of us spend so much time on apps, so much time looking at things which are basically sifting through data and telling us stories about data. And I think the truth is we often don't think about the people behind it who are designing it. So it's been absolutely wonderful talking to you and hearing a bit about that process. Do you feel, Ashwini, like a bit of an unsung hero in this world, or are you quite satisfied with being in the background, making everything work?
Absolutely. To be honest with you, I love problem solving, and that actually, it's like that gives me, let's say, a kick when I say that, okay, amazing, I have solved that problem for my, even if 10% users are happy with that particular solution, it gives you an amazing satisfaction. And I think that's what matters at the end of the day, and that's what keeps you going, really. I
think it certainly sounds like you found a fantastic vocation, Ashwini. And I know Nexthink is very lucky to have you. So look, we're very lucky to have you too. Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really lovely speaking to you today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on the show, and it was lovely having the conversation with you all.
Brilliant. Come back again. Thanks, Ashwini.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye.
To make sure that you never miss an episode, subscribe to the show in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure to leave a rating of the show. Just tap the number of stars you think the podcast deserves. If you'd like to learn more about how Nexthink can help you improve your digital employee experience, head over to nexthink.com. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.